You know a lot about golf.
Well, we're waiting.
You know what that means? That means it's time for us. And since it's time for us, we decided that, hey, we'd show up. Because showing up is half the battle.
I show up wherever I am. And today, I happen to be in the golf studio in Timbergate Golf Course.
Timbergate Golf Course, Edinburgh, Indiana. I am in the radio studio, Louisville, Kentucky. And we are collectively known as those Weekend Golf Guys. I'm John Ashton. He is Jeff Smith. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. First off, we have a special guest coming up in a little bit. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney from Folds of Honor, who is the only fighter pilot / PGA golf professional in the world. I think.
Pretty cool.
You're not a fighter pilot, right?
No.
Okay, good. All right. But he's got a book coming out in just a couple of days, and we are going to talk about it, Fly into the Wind. And that's one of the things coming up. So stick with us because he's an avid golfer. He's a cool dude and a great conversationalist. Speaking of cool dudes and great conversationalists, one Jeff Smith had a situation on the way home from Savannah, Georgia. We're going to talk about, one of the reasons why you might want to learn how to teach people how to play golf is it can extricate you from sticky situations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. So
power of the gift of gab and some knowledge about golf.
Yeah. I mean, even state troopers play golf and need help. That's all I'm going to say now, but that's a story you got to stick around and hear. And that one's coming up, too. And a few other various and sundry things. Man, other than that, how was Savannah? It was nice.
It was warm.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
There were palm trees and palmetto trees and
palmetto bugs.
I didn't see any of those.
Really?
I saw nothing that could eat me nor bother me. I saw lots of golfers. I saw smiles. I saw balls going into cups, balls flying out of bunkers. I saw lots and lots of people having good golf shots. It was great.
That's fantastic, man.
It was great.
It's fantastic. We need to try to work out some wintertime foray for listeners down to.
That's because we don't like the cold.
No, we don't like the cold, man.
No, we don't like it.
It is that time. I just saw a picture from a friend in New England, had 2 inches of snow in northern Maine already.
They can keep it.
Another reason why I don't live there no more. We are going to be talking funny stories about roadside golf lessons, speeding tickets, and you want to talk about the need for speed? How about a few moments with an F-16 pilot, Dan Rooney? It is all coming up with those Weekend Golf Guys, so hang out with us and we will be right back. It is Masters time. Finally, everyone's favorite tournament of the year. The golfers are all getting to Augusta, and they're going to compete for the coveted green jacket. And DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports, is putting you in the center of the action by giving you a shot to land in the green. Now, this week, DraftKings is giving you a shot at $1 million top prize when you download and sign up using promo code WEEKEND. If you haven't tried DraftKings, now this is the time. It's easy to play. You just pick 6 golfers, you stay under the salary cap, and you submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday. Then you sit back and you follow the action. You rack up points for pars and birdies, finishing position, and a whole lot more. You need to download the DraftKings app now and use code WEEKEND during the sign-up. This week, DraftKings is putting you in the action with a free shot at a $1 million top prize. That's code WEEKEND, and you can get a free shot at the $1 million top prize only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Hi, this is John Ashton, and I am sitting here right now in the single most comfortable pair of pants I have ever owned. They are lounging pants, and I got them from Mack Weldon. Mack Weldon is a premium men's essentials brand. They believe in smart design. They believe in high-quality fabrics. From basics, from socks to shirts, underwear, hoodies, polos, shorts, whatever you need, Mack Weldon's got you not only covered, but they are going to cover you with their comfort guarantee. You get a pair of underpants from Mack Weldon, and you do not think they're the most comfortable ones you've ever had. Okay, well, tell them. They'll let you keep the underwear, and they'll still refund you 100%, no questions asked. You got to get some of this stuff, man. It'll be the go-to stuff in your closet every time. Trust me on this. I want you to take 20% off your first order, and you can do that very easily. Just go to MackWeldon.com/weekend and enter the promo code weekend. All right? MackWeldon.com/weekend. Promo code is weekend. Peruse the website. Buy some stuff. It's the most comfortable things you will ever wear. Get some. You deserve it. And thanks for hanging and coming back. We are those Weekend Golf Guys. John Ashton along with Jeff Smith. I'm in the studio. He is at the Golf Cave in Edinburgh, Indiana, where the number one golf instructor in the state of Indiana should hang out. Now,
I got a cool studio, so if I don't hang out here,
that's right.
What am I thinking?
But now we know the truth. You don't need a studio. You need nothing more than like the side of a road and a few quiet and somebody to listen to you, man.
So I'm driving from Savannah, and I'm headed up to North Augusta, South Carolina. I'm out in the middle of nothing. I haven't seen a soul in a long time. I pull into the gas station, fill up a little, top off the tank, because, when you're out in the middle of nothing and you got a half a tank of gas, you're kind of thinking, you know what? I know the GPS says there's probably a gas station up there, but I'm not seeing much. Besides, I needed a Coke and some pretzels, and so it's time to,
And you were hearing the banjo tune to Deliverance in the background too. So
and it was something along those lines, because this thing, there's not a lot going on in this little place outside of that gas station, and they did have some hot boiled peanuts at that gas station, though.
Of course they did.
Yeah, because it's South Carolina.
That's right.
Not that that's a bad thing. I like them, but so I'm bopping. I get out of the gas station. I hop in the car, and it's one of those sleepy little towns. Speed limit's like 35, and you drive out on the one lone road out of town, and there's just tall pine trees on either side of the road, and it's just like this little tunnel you're driving through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting up to speed, and all of a sudden, bam! I mean, I couldn't have been that gas station was still like. I could still see it in the distance in my rearview mirror, and then bam, here it is. Flashers. I'm like, oh, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting pulled over. I'm the only guy around. It's not like I could be hiding in the traffic from, anybody else, like I've done numerous times.
Right.
I'm not getting that lucky.
No blending in today.
No, so I pulled over, and the police officer, he's walking up behind me, and he sees my car, and he comes in, he kind of peers into the window a little bit, like they don't quite get all window on you first off. They're kind of sneaking up on you a little bit from behind.
Yeah, they're checking you out. Did he say you in a heap of trouble now, boy?
No, he didn't say that right off the bat, right? So he's looking, and then all of a sudden he sees my Titleist hat and my Titleist backpack.
Okay.
And, and the head of the driver sticking between the seats, right? First thing he says is not license and registration, but he says, you're a golfer. I said, well, yes, and I'm actually a golf instructor. And he's like, really? And then all of a sudden he's like, and I got this wicked slice, and I got this problem, and I'm dunking my chips, and here we are, right? So golf is just the icebreaker, right?
Uh-huh.
At the same point, he stops in the middle of his thing. He goes, oh, yeah, can I get your license and registration? I'm like, dang it. I thought I was going to.
Not if you want an answer to your question, you can. No.
Yeah, so I'm at strike one, right? So golf has not gotten me out of anything yet.
Uh-huh.
So he wanders back, to the car, and then I'm sitting there waiting for this to come, and I'm looking in the rearview mirror when he gets out, and this thing, he's got a piece of paper in his hand, and it's blue.
Uh-oh.
It's not the pink warning. I've seen those a few times.
Oh, yeah.
No, my wife's not listening to this show, so I can say that. Right? It's not the pink warning. Okay, this is the blue, and it's a real ticket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang it. So he comes back, and he starts, before he hands the stuff back to me, he's still talking golf. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I'm jumping right on the bandwagon, because I want to keep that thing in his hand as long as I can keep it in his hand, right?
Definitely.
I don't want to be having my hand out and him putting my license and registration and a ticket in my hand. So I'm trying to hang on to the conversation. And so we're having this conversation about stuff, and I'm talking to him about how his right hand fits on the club, and how that's going to affect where the club goes and its relative path across his body. If his hand's more on top and his hand's more on the side, it's going to go down his body line. If his hand's underneath, it's going to go out away from him. And he's like, that's interesting. And I'm talking to him about how it's going to be, the face is relative to that. And he was pretty interested. And I said, so is it all right? Can I get out of the car? Can I show it to you? He's like, well, yeah. And so we do that. And I head back to the back of the car. I said, can I get out a golf club and a golf ball so I can demonstrate it? And he goes, yeah, but hang on a second. I got to go back to the truck. I got to turn off the camera. I'm like, oh. So my brain's going, hey, he's going to turn off the camera. This could be fun. So next thing you know, I'm into this thing for like 10 more minutes, and we're talking about how balls leap off the face of the club based on the club angle and all that stuff. And he was thinking, well, wait a minute. I thought the ball left the face based off the path. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. That is not quite true. I want you guys to see this. And so I'm doing the little thing and with ball down there and all that. And I put the club in his hand. And at that moment, he put the license and the registration and the stuff on the ground. I'm like, good. It's not even in my hand. It's not even in his hand right now. I was like, okay.
We'll get lucky and a gust of wind will come up and blow it away.
Things are not getting worse, right? So we go through this, and he's like fully intrigued. And he, and I asked him, he's like, well, can I hit a shot? I'm like, yeah. And he's got all this stuff on inside of it. He's wearing he's got the full vest on, right? And so this guy's not capable of making a real golf swing. He's got all this stuff padded into his Kevlar vest, And so I know this golf swing is not going to be too good. He's got his gun on and stuff. He can't take that stuff off.
Right.
Here we go. I got his toes on the side of the road. I got him with a golf club in his hand. I got a golf ball down there in the grass. And next thing you know, he's like, I'm going to take care of this ticket for you. I'm going to hit this ball straight. Like, you can't believe how much I wanted that ball to go straight. Out of all the golf lessons, out of all the players, out of all the shots that I've seen that my son has hit, my daughters have hit that I wanted to go back, that wanted to go straight as it could be, none of them were at this level right here. I'm sitting there, my fingers are crossed, my toes are crossed, I've crossed my legs. I'm sitting there, I was like looking for any lucky thing I could get, right? And I'll be darned if that ball doesn't go down that road and lands on the side of the road that he's standing on. So it's just like a 5-yard pull at the most, right? I mean, this thing was on my side of the road inside the thing. And it, a couple, 3 bounces later, it's off and we can't find it anymore. And he's looking at me. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't want to slice this ball before you hit it. I'm like, what do you care? It's not your ball.
That's right.
He looks at me and goes, yeah, I guess you're right. So that was some entertainment, right? So I got this, and next thing you know, he's making this ticket go away.
Cool.
I'm like, that's a nice thought. So I get my driver's license back. I get my registration back, and he hands this blue piece of paper to me. He goes, here, you got to keep this though. But he says, I'll take care of it. Like, okie dokie. So next thing you know, I've got this guy, and I get his, after he says that, I get the, I want to put him on my online platform so I can do some digital coaching, kind of a little, hey, I want to take care of this, Yeah. I told him, I said, hey, I got a corporate sponsor that takes care of these kind of things. So when I want to put people on my platform, they don't have to pay for it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what's your corporate sponsor? I'm like, well, those Weekend Golf Guys radio show. You should listen to our show.
Yeah. Hopefully not this week, however.
We've changed the names enough about the scenario to protect the innocent.
Let's hope.
Or the not so innocent. Right?
Wait a minute. This happened in Mississippi. Yeah, that's right. It was in Mississippi.
Yeah, that's right. It was in Mississippi.
Gotcha. So now we all have a technique we can use, and feel free to use it. Should you be stopped by the police, make sure that whenever you're driving that your golf paraphernalia is easily visible. And then when they stop you, just promise that you'll give them golf lessons for free from Jeff Smith.
That's it.
We don't guarantee it'll work.
Give him my business card. Yeah, that's it.
But what the heck? It's worth a try, right? It beats driving slow. Which is
so, I mean, so I of course I told this story to my wife, and she's like, yeah, I can just imagine myself sitting in the passenger seat with my head in my hands going, oh my God, would he ever stop? Would he please just stop?
How embarrassing is this?
There was a time a couple years ago, we were coming back from Hilton Head, coming back home, and my son needed a place to practice because he had a tournament coming up the next 2 days or something. We stopped at the side of the road in Asheville, North Carolina, pulled off at 26, and there's this golf course that's visible from the highway. So we go over there and we're practicing, and he's hitting balls and all that. And I'm hitting some shots. And by the time I'm done, I'm just waiting for Drew to finish. And there are 3 guys in this bunker, and it's a big, gigantic bunker. And these guys are terrible. I mean, they are just, John, they're god awful terrible.
Yeah.
And I start wandering over there, and my wife's shaking her head going, don't, just don't. She just turned around and went back up on the porch and sat down in the rocket chair because here we go. Here I am talking golf. Next thing you know, I'm giving 3 guys a golf lesson while Drew's still practicing, and I'm making gas money.
See, if that was my wife, she would have done something really mean and sit in there to get back at me. She would have looked at the cop and said, I wouldn't listen to him. He doesn't give you much great information after he's been drinking this much. Yeah. All right, listen, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney is coming up, Folds of Honor. We're going to be talking to him and about his new book and stuff. Hang out with us because we are those Weekend Golf Guys, and we will be right back. Of course, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/golfguys. We would love it if you were to go there and like us. facebook.com/golfguys. It is Masters time, finally. Everyone's favorite tournament of the year. The golfers are all getting to Augusta, and they're going to compete for the coveted green jacket. And DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports, is putting you in the center of the action by giving you a shot to land in the green. Now, this week, DraftKings is giving you a shot at $1 million top prize when you download and sign up using promo code WEEKEND. If you haven't tried DraftKings, now this is the time. It's easy to play. You just pick 6 golfers, you stay under the salary cap, and you submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday. Then you sit back and you follow the action. You rack up points for pars and birdies, finishing position, and a whole lot more. You need to download the DraftKings app now and use code WEEKEND during the sign-up. This week, DraftKings is putting you in the action with a free shot at a $1 million top prize. That's code WEEKEND, and you can get a free shot at the $1 million top prize only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Stunning.
You don't have to hit a shot to fall in love with the Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses at French Lick Resort. Our hotel and golf packages are the way to go. Add the casino and spas, and it's a road trip for the memory book. Safely get back to the game you love with one of the packages found online at FrenchLick.com. Legendary golf at French Lick Resort. A breath of fresh air.
Must be 21 to enter casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Every time you hit the course, you're looking for your best possible performance. You can't be too low energy. You can't be too high strung. You have to find the perfect sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone. Now, most golfers experience residual aches and pains from playing. You know, your elbow, your knee, your wrist. They may not be career-ending, but these issues will and can affect your game. That's why WellCare Botanicals provides premium CBD products that can help with concentration, that can improve sleep, and help you recover from aches and pains that'll help improve your golf game. The ingredients list has no additives, no pesticides, no parabens, and once harvested, the hemp is processed by CO2 extraction that ensures zero residual solvents. Lose your first tee jitters and get on the level you deserve. Well-being starts with WellCare. Use code WEEKEND and get 20% off your first purchase. Visit us at wellcarebotanicals.com or call 888-211-2011. That's 888-211-2011 or visit wellcarebotanicals.com. Use code WEEKEND. And thanks for hanging and coming back. We are those Weekend Golf Guys. I'm John Ashton in the studio. He's Jeff Smith in the Golf Cave, Timbergate Golf Course. But again, Edinburgh, Indiana, Timbergate Golf Course is where you expect the #1 golf teacher in the state of Indiana, according to Golf Digest magazine, to hang. And he is there. We have another golf professional with us and a fighter pilot professional and an author soon to be published and an all-around great guy who you have seen many places, I'm sure, but we want to say a great hello and thank you for joining us to Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney.
Hey, blessed to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, it's phenomenal, man. And it just did our heart. And it's nice that you asked us if you could come on. We're going, so wait a minute. Yes, definitely. First off.
Might not be saying that at the end of the show.
Yeah, maybe the last time he asked to come on.
That's right.
First things first, though, in just a couple days. I did that. Just a couple days on the 17th, you've got a book coming out. And just reading the blurb of the book, Flying into the Wind, it just sounds like something that anybody would have to read if they just want to live better. Is that too much of a stretch for you?
No, I agree. And I felt called by God to write this book based on some personal challenges I had in my life and developing a code of living that really, regardless of what's going on around you, I think you can find fulfillment on a daily basis. And it's crazy. My dream growing up was I want to be a PGA Club pro and a fighter pilot. And I'm still amazed at how, God put those two things together. Yeah. And I'm a rare bird. I'm the only guy in the history of the world to put those two things together. But the one thing that's constant all the time as we talk about as fighter pilots, we always take off into the wind. I fly one of the most powerful jets in the world. Top speed's 2.5 times the speed of sound. We can go 0 to 50,000 feet in under 1 minute. Straight vertically climbing the entire way. But we still take off into the wind because we need that resistance in order to ascend. And, the premise of this book is our lives are no different, right? We all need resistance to ascend in our lives. And as I mentioned, I wrote this during a 10-year life storm where I learned so much about myself and what matters. But these lessons that came to me that I applied to my own life, and I wanted to share it with people in hopes to that they can learn from my life and ultimately live their best life.
Yeah. Fighter pilot, golf pro. I mean, like you said, you wanted to be both. You aspired to be both. Why? I mean, they're like polar opposites.
Yeah, I don't know. We're both in the business of hitting targets, right? And there are a lot of similarities, right? Different acts, but the mind body connection, being a fighter pilot and a golfer, very similar. Mm-hmm. Being able to perform under pressure, your heart's jumping out of your chest, but you still got to execute, the shot, or you got to drop the bomb. And as single seat fighter pilots and as golfers, there's nobody to throw the ball to, right? There's nobody to blame. There's no referee. Mm-hmm. It is a very myopic, very lonely at times, sport, both of them. And at the end of the day, you got to get it done. Right. Yeah. And, I love that place in life. Sometimes in the heat of the pressure, you may not love it, but there are very few things as satisfying as, preparing, you're the one in control and executing that golf shot or mission successfully when you get to sit down and have an ice cold Budweiser afterwards. Man, I'm addicted to that feeling in life.
That's great. You know what? This guy's got to come back. And well, actually, no, we got to have you like near us, like when we're off the air, because then we can sit back and actually have that ice cold Budweiser. That's got to be fun. I mean, this guy's got to be the greatest guy in the world to hang out with after a round of golf.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
He's got stories, and maybe he'd even buy the beer. You know what? Here's
the best part. He's going to tell great stuff. He's not even going to be making it up.
That's right. I think that's the authentic piece of, this book, right? It's not a bunch of anecdotal stories. I bring in some of my personal heroes. Many I've met, some that I haven't, people that have shaped me through the walk that they're on, people I want to emulate in life or inspire me to be better. Mm-hmm. But it's all real stuff, right? I think as fighter pilots, the one thing that we do better than anybody in the world is we're able to manage copious amounts of information at a very high speed. So 4 dimensions, the fourth being time, mm-hmm. and our ability to prioritize. And our lives, like everybody you talk to, is drinking through the fire hose of life. There's never enough time. We're overscheduled. We're overstimulated. And people, like, I talk to people and I'm like so sad. It's like I survived the day. Mm-hmm. But every day is a gift from God. It is the day that He made, and we should be living it to the fullest. But in order to do that, you got to be intentional about your life and controlling it, and not the other way around. And I think when you get down to it, just diving into the book a little bit, it's a code of living that I've developed that is this like unconditional prioritization of what matters in your life, and not letting life just move you based on, what fire is burning or what person's being a dick in your life, or, a issue you have over there, and you just pour all this emotional energy and you're bouncing back and forth. And it's like the one thing I guarantee all of us will do is in 10 years from now, you're going to wake up and be like, oh my God, where'd the last 10 years go? Mm-hmm. The beauty of flying to the wind and the code of living that I engineered in this book is, I promise you, if you execute this, you'll be able to answer that question and not be like, oh my God, what happened to that? Because it's about living every single day, prioritizing your mental, physical, spiritual approach to life. And regardless of the chaos going on around us, you can still control your daily process. I look at this, I look at the book too, and I wrote every word in this thing. I had an editor that helped me. As HarperCollins is publishing it. So it's cool. It's going to be in Walmart and Sam's Clubs and, mm-hmm. And all those places, but it's really it's more of a journey than a read. And I say this to, to all the dudes out there. It's not just a dude book. I mean, girls will read it. But for us, and we have this saying in the fighter pilot world that's so applicable to the book, you got to slow down to speed up, right? And you just never stop, right? There's just so much reactive energy in this life. And the book is divided into 12 different LOEs. So an LOE is a line of effort. It's a military term. And these are basically 12 things I do every single day. But the first LOE is called quintessence. That's a big word, right? But so Aristotle defines this as the fifth element. It's an interesting concept, quintessence is, because it's like religion, science, everybody agrees. It's a little corny, but it's a little kind of Star Warsy too, like the Force in Star Wars.
Right.
The world agrees that we can only see, feel, and touch 10% of what's there, but we know the other 90% is there, even though we can't quantify it. And you translate that to our lives, and I would be like, that is your essence. So in this book, the first step to slow down, and the hard part is this very honest inventory with yourself. It's like, where have I been? Where am I currently? And where do I want to go? And I would say, like when I was a 12-year-old kid and when, go back to being a golf pro and a fighter pilot, the key of this thing is don't place limits on yourself. You are the biggest limiting factor in your life. I guarantee it. People look around and they point fingers and say, well, it's because of this person or this issue in my life, whatever. But this lack of accountability that impedes our opportunities in life is just such a vicious cycle. I've got 5 daughters and I work on them all the time, man. There's always an excuse. Well, this person did this, or the teacher didn't tell me this. I was like, dude, you own it, right? Because at the end of our lives, and this is so cool, the number one regret on people's deathbed is, I wish I would have lived a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. Mm-hmm. And you internalize that, and you think about how much time in your life you spend making actions or prioritizing based on other people. Not that they're not important, but you just have to keep these things in perspective.
Yeah. One of the things, and probably don't have time in this segment to answer it, but we'll deal with it when we come back in a few seconds. But one of the things I would think is, as a fighter pilot, and what you're talking about is, you are always in control, are you not?
No, I don't know.
Do you ever have a time when you feel like outside forces are taking over and there's nothing you can do but roll with the flow?
Yeah, I would say there's a realm between fear and faith as a fighter pilot. Okay. And in life, right, man, you get whacked driving down the road to, go get a beer tonight. But I'm constantly aware of, the divine current in our lives. And I would, it's funny. I was on an American Airlines flight the other day, and we'll take off, and I always do the sign of the cross. I'm Catholic. And I'm sitting next to this lady. She's got to be, 85 years old. And she looks over at me and she said, "Are you scared of flying?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." Right? I'm not going to tell her I'm a fighter pilot with 3,000 hours and 3 combat tours. But every time I pull on the runway, I make the sign of a cross, say a quick Hail Mary, because, we don't know. When we're really not in control, I would say, that there's an awesome state when you're fully prepared to execute, that I love about being a fighter pilot, when you've really studied for that test and you're excited to go take it. But never confuse that I'm totally in control.
Yeah. I thought you were going to answer her question by saying, "Yes, ma'am," when someone else is doing the flying.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But even when I'm doing the flying, because I just know, man, you look inside the hood of a fighter jet, there's a lot of crap that can go wrong. I hate going in the maintenance hangar. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, that's all got to work when I go fly this afternoon.
Let's hope. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, our guest here on Those Weekend Golf Guys. And there's a book coming out. There's a TV show coming out. There's more stories. There's golf. There's flying. There's stuff we're going to talk about, and we're going to all do it when we come right back. Hang with us. We have Those Weekend Golf Guys.
Stunning.
You don't have to hit a shot to fall in love with the Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses at French Lake Resort. Our hotel and golf packages are the way to go. Add the casino and spas, and it's a road trip for the memory book. Safely get back to the game you love with one of the packages found online at FrenchLick.com. Legendary Golf at French Lick Resort. A breath of fresh air.
Must be 21 to enter casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
You know, if you want a good cigar, you go to a good cigar shop. You want the best cigar, you go to Famous Smoke Shop. So let Famous Smoke deliver your favorite cigars right to your doorstep at America's lowest prices. Now, Famous opened back in 1939, so that's 80 years experience in the cigar business. And they're putting that experience to work for you, making deals on the cigars that you love, from affordable everyday smokes to your favorite cigars for out on the course, to high-end luxury cigars for your next special occasion. And here's an exclusive offer just for our listeners. You take $20 off your purchase of $100 or more when you use the promo code GOLF20. That's GOLF20. Go to famous-smoke.com/golfguys and click the activate button to apply the promo code. You can pick from more than 1,000 cigar brands. They're all fresh and ready to ship from Famous Smoke's climate-controlled 24,000 square foot humidor. So check out with the promo code GOLF20. That's famous-smoke.com/golfguys. And thanks for hanging and coming back. Yeah, I'm still John Ashton. He's still Jeff Smith, and Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney's still with us. We haven't bored him to death yet, so he hasn't left, which is cool.
I've been talking too much. I apologize.
No, not at all.
No,
man.
That's why we brought you here.
Exactly.
We're pretty tired of hearing John all the time.
Yeah,
so,
man. I know. All my stories are getting to be repeats anyhow, man. So, and I don't have anything as cool. One of the things, though, that I want to talk about, too, is your affinity for golf. And I believe golf basically emulates life. It's a great metaphor for life. And I mean, it just makes so much sense what you do that it equates to golf. You mentioned it earlier about how you're alone. There's nobody, and nobody's going to take credit for or the blame for what you do except for you. But still, there's so much that you can use golf to equate to life.
John brings this up frequently on the show about how they emulate each other. And one of the things that John always seems to point out is that they both can make you say all kinds of bad things. Yeah. Golf and life.
Hate yourself. Golf can make me hate myself like no other thing on earth.
Right. It's a very frustrating thing.
Okay, well, at least if you make a mistake, it's not going to kill you. Like if you're flying a jet at 2.5 times the speed of sound. You know?
That's okay. We just look at it and we go, all right, Dan and I have this one thing that John doesn't get to say that we can say when we hit a shot that we don't really like. We're like, balls are free.
Freedom ain't free, Titleist are.
That's right.
Your TV shows coming up on, is it Fox Network or Fox Cable or?
Yeah, so it's a Fox Nation series coming up, and it was funny. Last night I was texting with David Faraday. He's episode number 1,
of course,
and first time he's ever done this on a camera. We if you're in a golf fan, you've seen his story in print, but the show Flying into the Wind is a singular objective, and that's to sit down with some of the most inspiring figures, athletes, commentators, celebrities, and not talk to them about all their successes, but rather their fly into the wind moment. The moment that they didn't know if they were going to make it to tomorrow, how they describe that moment, how they made it through, what they've learned, just this real life sit down. I mean, wildly authentic. I've never seen anything like it on TV anywhere, just one-on-one. And I call it a humble act of valor, but sharing your shortcomings requires a lot of courage, letting it all hang out, right? And it's just awesome. And I look at it, for me, we got 20 veterans a day committing suicide, so way more than we've ever lost on the battlefield. Yeah. And there's a systemic, mental health issue across this country. It's not unique just to veterans. And so that was my inspiration. I was like, let's sit down with people and give real life advice that, it's going to be okay. Let's get to tomorrow. Let's just get to tomorrow and staying in the fight. And it's just this, beautiful group of people, from David Faraday to Urban Meyer to Greg Norman to Dara Torres to Herschel Walker, that sit down one-on-one with me. never interviewed anybody in my life until this show started. And you know, my interviewing's perfectly broken as well. It's definitely a fun part of the show. But I fly to all my guests, fly myself. I get a Cirrus, and so the Cirrus is all camered up, and so that's part of the show. Me taking off from Tulsa to go to wherever the interview is and talk to you about how awesome the person is I'm going to interview, and then it's just a drop the hook, level 3. Okay, tell me when you weren't going to make it to tomorrow, and it's just every one of these episodes is full of tears and hope and just so real. It goes back, it all ties together. We talked about the book coming out with the same title, Fly Into the Wind. But it all goes back, and several of the questions in the interview in the TV show are from the book, and I'll just share a couple so you get an idea to unpack the book a little bit. These lines of efforts. I talk about this. It's the 4th line of effort. It's called parasitic drag. And so on October 14th, 1947, Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier, and they couldn't break it up until that point. And they were able to eliminate parasitic drag. So that this drag on the Bell X-1 airplane that was preventing them from getting through the sound barrier. And you'll find that, where you are in life versus where you want to go, things you're going to have to eliminate in your life is parasitic drag. And this brutally honest inventory of what that is, right? Are the unhealthy relationships in your life? Are there alcohol? I talked to Jack Nicklaus, he started out, and this is an amazing career, but his ego was his parasitic drag, right? It was like, I can beat everybody. So he stops practicing. It manifests itself in different ways in our lives. But again, it's about looking in the mirror. And Greg Norman talks about, he sits in his mirror and literally looks at himself in his eyes and talks about the stuff that he has to fight against every day. We all have our demons, right? We're all fighting something, but eliminating this parasitic drag is a huge part of getting to what I call a CAVU state, a ceiling invisibility. It's a fighter pilot acronym that stands for those perfect blue skies you go fly in.
Right.
But so that's one of the cool questions that we talk about. One of my favorite is go before you're ready. It's the final line of effort in the book, but it is the DNA. It's like defiant DNA that ties greatness together. Like the single common denominator of true greatness that I've witnessed in my life is these people have a moment where they go before they're ready, right? There's no way this makes sense. I mean, Greg Norman started playing golf. He was turned pro, said, I'm going to play golf for a living. He was a 14 handicap when he started. There's no friggin' way, right? And look, this guy goes on to win 91 times and 2 major championships. And it's this, don't be a prisoner of common assumption. And people, and that's parasitic drag in our lives, right? We listen to the crap that people tell us, right? Oh, that'll never work. You can never be a golf pro and a fighter pilot. You got to pick one. Yeah. You can't start the Folds of Honor above your garage. That will never work. You're not very smart. You have no money. And 28,000 recipients later and $130 million out the door, I guess, it's fun to call those people up that told you, well, this will never work and say, well, guess what, it did. But I don't have time, right? I have no energy for those people in life, but it's just so important. And I share a cool fighter pilot story around this because this was unlocked for me as a 28-year-old, this concept of go before you're ready. But you get 4 rides in an F-16 with an instructor. So it's a $40 million fighter jet, and your 5th ride is by yourself. And I remember getting in the cockpit of the F-16, and I knew what half the buttons and switches did in this thing. And they're like, hey, Noonan, don't worry. You're not ready to kill anybody. You just need to know how to fly right now. We're going to teach you what all that other stuff does. I went and I flew this airplane, and I came back and rolling up the canopy on this, hot afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona. And literally it was like the epiphany. My life changed forever because I would have never let myself, if it was up to me, get in that fighter jet and go fly it. But I went before I was ready. It is such an empowering concept in our lives when you're aware of it and identify that you better find some reckless faith in your life if you want to make big changes and do great things. And it ain't no dress rehearsal, so go get it, but be ready to go before you're ready.
I would imagine that you have run into, I know I think most of us, if you do the honest introspection, many of us have fallen prey to that and listen not to the naysayers outside, but the naysayers inside.
Oh yeah,
talk ourselves out of anything.
It's all around us. But that's the thing about having a relationship with God and your life is really quieting down and listening to what's in your heart. And my question to anybody out there is, why not you?
I've asked that many a time. Why not me? And I can't come up with a good reason. So that's why we
got to get this guy to hang out with us more often.
I know. I mean, you look at anything. I mean, this radio show started because I was working a morning show and I got off the air and they called me in and said, you're too expensive. You need to go make your own way in the world.
Yeah.
I went, okay. Where's that leave me? But I mean, that's when we all go through it. And it probably would help to have somebody who has had the success and can quantify the success with the 14 lines, with being able to sit down and say, okay, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of this book is it stacks. It's a force multiplier. It is what I said before. I'm definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed, but during my life storm and introspection, I was able to really prioritize what matters in life and build a code of living that I execute every single day without fail. And that doesn't guarantee a good outcome, right? We're not in control of outcomes in our life. We really aren't, but you're in control of your process. And I can put my head on the pillow every night and be like, hey man, I lived a good day today. I fought the good fight. And if you're not intentional about what you're going to execute on a daily basis, I promise you're just going to be blowing in the wind, because this world is full of stimulus and the red ball bouncing down the street that you're going to go chase after. Then you're going to wake up and be like, wow, I would have, I could have, I wish. And I promise you, I'm never going to be in that place.
Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, Folds of Honor. First off, which is an absolutely phenomenal organization. How many scholarships?
28,000 spouses and kids who've had someone killed or disabled have gone to school. Courtesy, much in part, to the PGA of America. We've got great partners out there.
We'd love to get an invitation when you open up your golf course, come up and record the show, do it live up there.
Oh, man, I'd love it. American Dunes.
Yeah.
As we close that thing out. So, again, total fly into the wind moment. I'll finish this. So my family golf course is basically destitute and going bankrupt in Grand Haven, Michigan, right? This is the biblical lesson from our time together. God will tear things apart before he builds them up. So if you're struggling, it's all good. This story has been written over and over and over again. So I go from the darkest of places to a meeting with Jack Nicklaus. He says yes. We've worked for the last almost 3 years together to take the Grand Haven Golf Club, where Folds of Honor started with its first tournament. That's our why. We raised $8,000 for our very first event. Put together friends, have overcome tremendous headwinds on this deal. And American Dunes opens May 2nd of 2021. This place is going to write a story like has never been written in the game of golf before. Number one, everything goes back to benefit Folds of Honor.
Right.
But the golf and the Budweiser drinking experience, the military reverence at this place, 16-person lodge. If you love God and country and the game, you're going to make a pilgrimage. And, Grand Haven's just straight west to Grand Rapids, Michigan, but American Dunes 2021.
Jeff's already put it on the calendar, man.
I just writing it all on.
We will be there.
Yeah. Check out the website too. It's
beautiful.
Place
it is absolutely gorgeous.
It is off the grid, and the golf is going to take its place in the rarest of air. Jack, you won't believe it's a Jack Nicklaus golf course. It's unbelievable what he has done. Pure sand dunes on Lake Michigan.
If we had more time, we'd spend it, but we're out. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney.
Let's do it again.
Hey, our door's always open. Come on in, as they say,
I can't wait to see you in person at American Dunes. I mean, we would be honored to have you come up and do the show live from the Fighter Squadron Bar, which is pretty much the entire clubhouse is one massive bar.
We'll be there. We might even do 2 or 3 shows and just hang out. You never can tell.
That's why we love it. Yeah, it'll be a great remote. I promise you that.
That's all right. We're there. We are there. Write us in with India Inc. It's done deal.
I love it.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel.
Jeff and John, thanks for having me, you guys. God bless. And I'm just, praying for everybody out there. And they can get my book, Fly Into the Wind. You can go to danrooney.com and pre-order it, or you can pretty much find that thing anywhere books are being sold, and share it with your family and friends. I don't care if you're struggling like I was or winning in life. It will give you something that makes you better for a long time.
Fantastic. And once again, sir, thank you for spending some time with us here on those Weekend Golf Guys. If you want a good cigar, you go to a good cigar shop. You want the best cigar, you go to Famous Smoke Shop. So let Famous Smoke deliver your favorite cigars right to your doorstep at America's lowest prices. Now, Famous opened back in 1939, so that's 80 years experience in the cigar business. And they're putting that experience to work for you, making deals on the cigars that you love, from affordable everyday smokes to your favorite cigars for out on the course, to high-end luxury cigars for your next special occasion. And here's an exclusive offer just for our listeners. You take $20 off your purchase of $100 or more when you use the promo code GOLF20. That's GOLF20. Go to famous-smoke.com/golfguys and click the activate button to apply the promo code. You can pick from more than 1,000 cigar brands. They're all fresh and ready to ship from Famous Smoke's climate-controlled 24,000 square foot humidor. So check out with the promo code GOLF20. That's famous-smoke.com/golfguys. Every time you hit the course, you're looking for your best possible performance. You can't be too low energy. You can't be too high strung. You have to find the perfect sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone. Now, most golfers experience residual aches and pains from playing. Your elbow, your knee, your wrist. They may not be career-ending, but these issues will and can affect your game. That's why WellCare Botanicals provides premium CBD products that can help with concentration, that can improve sleep, and help you recover from aches and pains that'll help improve your golf game. The ingredients list has no additives, no pesticides, no parabens, and once harvested, the hemp is processed by CO2 extraction that ensures zero residual solvents. Lose your first tee jitters and get on the level you deserve. Well-being starts with WellCare. Use code WEEKEND and get 20% off your first purchase. Visit us at wellcarebotanicals.com or call 888-211-2011. That's 888-211-2011, or visit wellcarebotanicals.com. Use code WEEKEND. The 17th of November is just a few days away, and that is the release date of the book, I believe. Let me check and make sure that is right?
Sounded right. I think that's...
It's close. It's a few days from now. On sale November 17th, and you can get it, Amazon or Books A Million or any place where books are sold. It's a phenomenal book. Sounds great. So, and he's just such a cool dude, man, isn't he?
I know. The life that guy must have led, right?
Yeah.
Fighter pilot. I mean, we all have dreams about being a fighter pilot.
I think
rock stars, fighter pilots, baseball players, that kind of stuff. NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's in the whole litany of things that little boys hope to grow up to be someday.
Oddly enough, sitting, hanging out, talking on the radio is not it. It's never one of those things that jumps into people's heads.
It was for me.
And look at you now.
Because everything else looked like too much work, I did, man. I went to a radio station. Actually, I went to a TV station when I was young, and I was getting in the way, and it was really boring watching them set up for TV taping. So the guy said, "Hey, you want to go up to the radio studio and hang out for a while?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I went up to this radio station. There was a disc jockey up there in Boston, WHDH radio. His name was Bruce Bradley. And he was funny, and he was fantastic, and I was in the 9th grade, and he treated me like a real person. And man, I walked out of there and I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And then they reminded me that you can't do both.
Grow up and do radio at the same time. Right. You know what I feel like? Some of the times here we are doing this radio show, and there's a time where I feel like I can just say anything I want, outside of, you editing stuff for FCC reasons and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
That I can't do in normal life. I'm sitting in a room by myself, because we're not in the same place.
Right.
Sitting in the room by myself in front of this microphone talking to you through the thing, and I'm just feeling like I can say anything.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I don't feel like I have my adult self that I have to do all the time, like
Yeah.
in front of people.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. No self censoring or anything like that. Just like a stream of
Well, that's
consciousness.
because I trust you to do the editing.
Yes. Or insist I do the editing, whatever. Hey, tell you
Something
what,
like that.
if you
So
want
they
to
pay
get out of a
for.
speeding ticket sometime, learn how to teach golf. I think that's one of the lessons we learned today. And Dan Rooney's book will be out the 17th of November. It's getting a little cold where you may be, so think about heading south. Just like the birds, we're going to be going south for the winter. And whether you're in the north or in the south or wherever, get indoors, get outdoors, do something. Grab those clubs and play some golf.